First of all, thank you everybody for coming this evening. It's a pleasure to, first of all, meet you all and see you all here. So, again, my name is Sime Lisica, returnee from Sydney, Australia. I can say that I probably started planning my escape from Australia around 2008. I decided way back then that the Australian life probably wasn't for me. Although I'm internally grateful for Australia, for everything that it has given me, that is the reason that I'm here. If it did not give me that life that I had, then I would not be able to extend that life here in Croatia. And that's really an important point that I want to get across to everybody. Moving forward from there, I started to accelerate my time in Croatia around 2012, 2013. I started spending a lot more time here. 2014, I started to travel the world. I was lucky enough that my former employers, they put me on cruise ships, and I was able to travel the world on cruise ships, look at a lot of interesting places, a lot of time in Singapore, a bit of time in Greece, some time in Amsterdam, and I was lucky enough to see the world. During that time, I always had the choice: do I want to go back to Australia or do I want to go to Croatia? You have that choice at the end of your tour. I'd always choose to come back to Croatia. So between 2014 and 2018, I had spent more time in Croatia than what I had in Australia. Around the end of 2017, 2018, I had to make a choice. So I was living a double life, basically. You can't be in two places at once. You can't be in Australia and you can't be in Croatia. So you have to make a choice. You've got to you've got to draw the line and say, wait, what am I doing in my life? I'm already in my late 30s, so I better make a choice. I made that choice and I came to Croatia, and I wanted to see if I could make it work. I work in the audio-visual industry, commercial audio-visual industry rather, and there's a number of things we do. I could talk about that for hours, but we won't go into that. But I wanted to try that here. I saw there was a gap in the market for my niche, let's call it that, and I proceeded with that. I had a number of failures in the beginning, which is to be expected when you come here to Croatia. Not everything is idealistic. Paul made some good points where in Dalmatia, or Dalmatia rather, you can't expect to change this place, but this place will change you. You can't expect to bring your wild ideas from outside and then come here to Dalmatia and then trying to implement them. It's not going to work. I eventually did find success. I connected with people in Zagreb, and Zagreb is the hub for everything. As soon as I connected with Zagreb, everything changed after that. It was a complete disconnect from what I was experiencing at that time. Now, I envy people who come here and are able to get a job with a Croatian company. Look, I've always worked for myself. I've been a contractor my whole life, now more in the last 10 years business owner, and I've never had the opportunity to actually be on wages for somebody. Like, I've never experienced wages in my life. I don't know what that is. So I've always had to do it for myself. So my path here was always going to be different. It was going to be the entrepreneur path. It was never going to be I was coming here to work for somebody, you know. And I can't imagine my life working for somebody. It's impossible in my head. My advice is, if you can get a job here from the diaspora and you come here and you can work remotely, or you can work remotely for a company in Australia, or we can work remotely, or we can work directly for a company in Croatia, then fantastic, do it, because it'll be a life-changing experience for you. My path was harder. I've got to do it for myself. That's just kako bi rekao na hrvatski, tako sam suđen. Yeah? That's what it is for me, yeah? And that's fine. That's fine in my book. Ja sam se prekrižio, as they say. Yeah? What else, Paul? What else can we talk about here?
Tell us about your grandfather.
Oh, my grandfather, yeah. Way back in '95, after the war, not after the war, still during the war, I have vivid memories of it. I came in '94 with my mother from Australia. I remember travelling. I remember the bus trip. Well, first, I remember the airport in Zagreb. I remember it was under military control, our military control. I remember people with, or not people, soldiers with guns, and that was confusing for me back then. I was only 12 years old. I remember seeing all that, and my auntie met us there at the airport, and she put us on a bus. I remember travelling through all the way down to Zadar with my mum. I remember military coming onto the bus to check everybody's passports. I remember when they questioned us, why, you're here from Australia? Well, yeah. Well, even they were confused what was happening. Moving forward from there, met my grandfather. Was only a year old when I first met my grandfather. They came to Australia, but after that, this was the first time I actually met my grandfather at the end of 1994. Sometime in January 95, my grandfather sat me on the tractor, and we drove around to the land holdings that we have. So we had a number of olive groves, we had vineyards, and other plots of land and whatnot that are around the Bibinje area. I remember my grandfather telling me in that period of time that one day all this will be, not all this, one day a portion of this would be yours. I didn't quite understand the concept of what he was trying to get across to me at that stage, but he was trying to tell me that this is yours, this eventually will be passed down to you. Lo and behold, if you asked me 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I started to realise exactly how much land we had and what was being dealed up and what part of that land belonged to my direct family. So I decided to do something about it, and all of a sudden I have vineyards, olive groves, and other agricultural land that I decided I have to do something with this. So if you asked me 10 years ago, would you be picking grapes, picking olives, looking after chickens and doing all that sort of stuff, I would have laughed at you, yeah? But now I find it's something that I embrace because I work in the digital world. I'm so infiltrated in my mind with this whole digital thing that's happening around me, and I'm so every day it's just constantly it's berating me, it's killing me, you know. And then I found that I wake up early, so at 5 in the morning, between 5 and 6, I come to myself, have a coffee, then I go and feed the chickens, which is really entertaining. I never thought in my life I'd be feeding and looking after chickens and turkeys and other livestock. It's hilarious, right? My friends in Australia think I'm crazy, you know, like, what are you doing? I'm looking after the chickens. What are you doing? I'm going to work, or I'm having a laugh in the morning. I don't know what you're doing, right? Then I thoroughly enjoy that. You get eggs every morning. It's amazing. This thing just produces eggs every single day, and it's just fresh eggs every day. It's amazing, man. It's not like these eggs from the market. You can't experience what a real egg is until you see it come out of a chicken, right? And that's what it is. Olives. It's been a really busy couple of weeks. We've picked 2 tons of olives, so that's, as you can imagine, that's it weighs fairly heavily on us in this period of time because you've got to get it done, you know. They start to fall off the tree and it's a panic. 2 tons, that's about 350, 400 litres of oil that we have. Today we cooked rakia today, so we made that. We delivered about 80 litres today, so probably tomorrow we're looking at about 150 litres of rakia. And I think, wow, what am I doing? It's like I'm in a time warp, you know, like there's no way. Like I remember making rakia with my late father. I remember making wine with my late father, but it was never on a, let's call it a commercial scale, you know, or semi-commercial scale, because we do sell our products. And I just remember making what we needed for home, and now we're making like, oh my God, like 150 litres of rakia. What are you going to do with 150 litres of rakia? It's ridiculous, you know. 350 litres of olive oil. What do I need so much olive oil for? We sell it. And luckily enough, we're known in our village for having great products. So we sell it on. Tourists come to us. Every year we have the same people coming back to us to buy the same olive oil, buy the same rakia off us. It's amazing. Like it's a time warp. it's an absolute time warp. I feel that I feel for my friends in Australia who wake up every morning, who have to go to work every day. It's the same grind. It's that grind. It's 7 to 3:30, or it's 8 to 4, or it's 9 to 5. I for the last 10 to 15 years of my life have not had an hour when I have to turn up to work every single day. It's like it's an amazing freedom. It's like, wow, like what I do understand how that system works in Australia, but I don't understand how you can wake up every day and just do the same thing in and out and in and out, and then you live your life like that, and you save up your money in Australia, and then you come to Croatia for a month or two and you spend all that money, then you go back to Australia and you do the same thing again, and you just keep doing the same thing in and out and in and out and in and out. It's just, it doesn't work for me. I'm not that person. I encourage everybody who's had enough of living that grind in Australia to make the move. If you're thinking about making the move here, then just do it. It'll be a life-changing experience. And one more thing I want to touch on: if you're having like an identity crisis in Australia, I found that for a long time I was having an identity crisis. So a word that was used fairly loosely in Australia is WOG. It's a derogatory term, although when used in jest, it's okay between friends, you know. But I'd been called a WOG, which means a person from Europe and surroundings who's in Australia. But hang on, I was born in Australia. I thought I was Australian, but I was never seen as Australian because of my background and my heritage, and as much as I love them over there, it was hard for them to accept me as an Australian. They was always called a WOG, and I was like, I'm having this identity crisis over there. Hang on a second, like, am I Australian? Am I Croatian? Like, what am I, man? You know, like, why are you calling me that? It hurts at the time, but you move on from that, you know. And then when I came here, I had realised that I was WOG boy no more, right? I'm the person that I'm meant to be. So if you feel that you have to be here, if you want to be here, and if it's the place that you feel that holds your future, then I encourage you to reach out to our community. There's a number of Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups. Reach out to us, reach out to Paul, and we'll point you to a place where you can go and get information that's going to be valuable for your existence in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sime. And if you need any olive oil or eggs, the address is in Bibinje.